Obviously, the scented candles are worth avoiding. One, I find and this is for me personally, some people love them. I find their fragrances to be like totally offensive and totally over the top. I don't want to have my house smell like a gingerbread castle because I gotta.
My husband has some downstairs. Can I bring them up? The ones he
Yes,
has, so we can see
yes,
how bad they are?
yes. He told me about these, the ones in the man cave. To which I commented, I've never heard of a man cave that has candles, especially scented candles. Sorry. Not a comment on your manhood.
I hate you. I just want to go on record to say that I actually did not put scented candles in the man cave. It was my boy. So, yeah.
All right, well, your boy...
I just outed him.
It's okay, I just turned it out, so it's still
You did.
They're like totally using it.
All right, this is called Whispering Wood, and it's vanilla bean and cream. And what I love is that there's like actual ice cream with like cinnamon and vanilla beans. And that one's got a vanilla bean. And like I said earlier, Yankee Candle Company, which is like, everybody loves that store. They've got crazy names for their fragrances. They actually have a candle, I think if they still make it, called Hugs and Kisses. It's a fragrance called Hugs and Kisses. I don't know what that would smell like aside from maybe saliva and other stuff.
Body odor.
Body odor, right. So I don't ever buy a Hugs and Kisses candle. You know, this soot that you see on the this black on the side, like that's going into the air that you're breathing, and now it's on my finger.
Sorry for
That's okay.
you.
No, that's okay. I'll just wipe it on my black pants.
So basically you're breathing in the black soot?
Yes, there's that, but then you've got other, you know, the phthalates that are in there that are making up the fragrance. Those are being released. You've got combustion byproducts. Benzene is often released as a combustion byproduct from some of these candles. And so they're just, you know, they might be making the air smell good, but they're doing so with a coating of chemicals that you're breathing in, and if you can smell it, then you're breathing in those molecules.
But what's like a side effect of any of those chemicals?
Well, for anybody that's got allergies or asthma, you know, these are respiratory irritants. Some of them are going to be the combustion byproducts that are going to be emitted from here can be carcinogenic. You've got the phthalates, which I've talked about before, which are hormone disrupting and linked to, you know, different types of cancers and hormonal disruption, birth defects, infertility, a whole long list of issues, none of which we want to subject ourselves to, and all issues that are present in our regular, present in society. People are experiencing these things all the time. So anything that's going to contribute to those conditions, we want to, again, dial the volume down on that. And this, to me, is like an unnecessary thing. When we were at Crystal's house, her cousin had a pot of simmering water with cinnamon sticks on it, and her house smelled awesome, totally natural. Yeah. And if you want to have your house or man cave smell a certain way, in a man cave I would recommend putting dirty socks. You know, I'm just totally kidding. The entire field of pharmacology and endocrinology operates under the assumption that small doses do in fact matter. This is why pharmaceutical drugs are delivered in parts per million, parts per billion, sometimes even parts per trillion doses, because they recognize that our body systems operate on those levels. So, you know, your endocrine system is designed to respond to infinitely minute levels of hormone within the body, and can have dramatic effects at those levels. And so when we're looking at low dose chemical exposures, yeah, for some things, little tiny doses don't matter, not a big deal. But for other ones, it actually has the potential to matter more, or matter in more significant ways. And that seems to be the case for these endocrine disrupting chemicals, and that's what research is pointing to. And when we're looking at, again, at pharmaceuticals that are delivered intentionally at low doses within the body, we can look at things like NuvaRing. NuvaRing is one of the most commonly prescribed birth control devices that delivers a dose of 0.035 parts per billion in the body. That's an extraordinarily low dose. Now, to put parts per billion in context, 1 part per billion is approximately equivalent to 1 teaspoon diluted in a 600,000 gallon Olympic-sized swimming pool. So partial teaspoon or almost teaspoon is going to be equal to 1 part per billion. And pharmaceuticals are designed to be active, bioactive, active in the body, meaning they have a therapeutic effect, at multiple parts per billion or at fractions of parts per billion. So again, NuvaRing is 0.035 parts per billion. It's like a fraction of 1 drop of that teaspoon. And it has a profound effect in the body and also has side effects. So people who have been on birth control experience bloating or breast tenderness, skin breakouts, weight gain, mood swings. These are all very dramatic effects, and these are pharmaceuticals that are controlling ovulation. These are very profound effects in the body delivered at infinitesimally small doses. And when we're talking about the levels of some of these other chemicals that are found in our environment, meaning like the mercury that we're getting from fish or flame retardants that we were talking about earlier, these are often found within the body at 20, 30 parts per billion. Mercury is usually a little bit lower unless you eat a ton of tuna or swordfish, in which case your mercury levels are probably higher. But the point is that these really tiny doses that are in us, that are measured, the CDC measures for a lot of these chemicals in their body burden testing that they do. And they're finding these chemicals in us, and they're finding them at consistent levels, not necessarily in the same individual, but they're consistently finding them. And so it's not every chemical is going to be bioactive at those low doses, but for the ones that are, we don't want them there. And pharmaceutical drugs have been tested and refined so that the dosage that's delivered has a very specific effect at that dosage. But chemicals in our environment have not been tested to see whether or not they have effects at those low doses.